Hi everyone and welcome to Redefine Gamedev. This is the first episode of Q&A and with me here is Fahir from Awesome Tuts channel. You should check his channel if you don't know him already in the description down below. And I've asked you on Discord to ask some questions. I've collected all of them. I've put some more questions from other places from the internet and now let's get started. But first Fahir, a few words from yourself. For people that don't know you.
First of all, thank you for having me as a guest on your channel. My name is Fahir. I've been doing game dev for the last 7 years. Been running a YouTube channel called Awesome Tuts for the last, well, the channel is started 7 years ago, but actually like a year and a half I started working really hard on it. So yeah, been around for a while.
Okay, cool. Then you have some awesome things to say because we're gonna dive right in the questions. So the first one, why did you start game development?
So like game development, for me, it was a passion since I could, recognize things. The first time when I was a little kid, the brother of my mother, he brought home a laptop and I've opened it and there was a game called Morhoon. There was these chicken that you shoot. Yeah, a very famous game. I believe everybody knows that.
I know it.
Yeah, especially people older than 25 or 30 years, they know this game definitely. And I'll also, at that time, there were arcade shops. I don't know how is it in Sweden. In USA, that's still popular. So you have arcade shop where you have those, machines with, you take that, how is it called, that joystick, and you have like buttons and you can play different games. This is also where I played games. I even didn't eat, the money that my parents gave me to buy food in school. I would keep that money to buy coins to play games. So I was crazy about games and I just had to learn how to create them.
Okay, yeah, it was tough. I think this is the story for a lot of people. They start as gamers, of course, they discover games, and then at some point, hey, maybe I can make some. And then you get into this whole thing that starts to get complex and you don't know where it actually stops, but it's a way to go. Okay, so what is your first game that you ever made?
The first game that I ever made was called, I named it Jack the Giant, and it was a mobile game that I released like 6 or 7 years ago on Google Play App Store. I believe it's still online. I recently started a new company called Union Games where me and a couple of my friends, we were creating games and publishing them online. And when I looked at the console, because that was a long time ago when I, left that game over there, it was still there and Google had some policy changes. So it was like taking off a little bit, but I just clicked one button and it was on again for some reason. But anyways, yeah, that was my first game. I'm proud in terms of what I achieved, but of course it can be a lot better. But, for the first game, and this is like an advice to all beginners and every, person watching this, don't expect that much from your first game. I mean, you can get lucky, but in the majority of cases, your first game, it's not going to be your mega hit game. It's not going to be your dream game, and it's probably not going to get millions and millions of downloads. That's something that you should know up front, because when I talk about these things, a lot of people are like, oh, you're discouraging. This is not discouragement. We live in a real world where real things happen, so you should expect real things to happen as well in terms of game development. You should not dive in thinking oh, I'm going to play the next Flappy Bird. As soon as I publish a game, millions of people are going to come, and then you don't see those millions of people coming, you get disappointed and you want to quit. So this is what I'm trying to prevent, the quitting part. So yeah, even if your first game flops, just keep on creating more games, and that's the lesson here.
Yeah, and it's important to know that every game, I mean, even if it fails, it actually doesn't fail. I mean, if you look at this, oh, the game failed, but you actually learned something. I mean, you might have learned how to implement some new mechanics, you might have learned how to market it a little better, how to get some feedback out of people, and then you can put that one into your next game. And also you can learn what not to do. It's also really important because you think, oh, I can make the next MMO, but you cannot actually make the next MMO. Even though it seems possible with all of these Unity packages that's floating around Unity's store. which is kind of
Yeah, really nice
makes
point
wrong
there. And
expectations.
this is also when like the mentality that somebody needs to have when it comes when it goes into game development. Like, don't look at things the negative way. If you see a bad review, don't take it the bad way. Take it, use it to make your game better and also make your next game better, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Okay, how much do you spend on making individual games in terms of time?
So, like, our latest game, Pookie Ninja, that's available on iOS and Android, we spent around 2 months creating that game. Currently, I'm working 2 separate games because, like, we split it, or how that's called. How is that word in English? So I'm working on one game with my friend Ahmed, and I'm also working with another 2 friends on another game. Both are going to be mobile games, and so far it's been like a month and a half since we were working these 2 games, but like basically one is finished 98%, another one is finished like 85%. And of course, all of these, the time it took, like I said, it's 1 month and a half. It could have been a lot less, but we had like family issues. My friend, he had a how's it called in English? Like somebody died in his family, a mortal case, or how it's called. So all those things, funeral and stuff like that. So yeah, so that took time from the development, but I believe these 2 games will be ready in 1 month. We plan to publish them by the end of this month, so by the end of this year. So yeah, around month, 2 months, up to 3 months, I believe, for a quality game, depending on your experience, of course. But we all are in the industry. Like, I'm in the industry 7 years. My friend Ahmed, he's creating Tenogen skins for Warframe for a couple of years now, and my friend Dino also is in the industry for like 2 years. And so it's we're looking to get into shape in terms of to learn to work better with ourselves, because this was the first time we were working with each other. But yeah, the process is getting faster and faster.
Okay, and why did you decide to go and do mobile games instead of, for example, games on Steam or VR games, which is the next big thing now?
So, like, I personally, when it comes to VR, for VR you have to have special gear, especially like if you want to play some better games. The VR headset requires you to plug into your computer, and you need to have a really good graphics card, which is not the case with the majority of people out there. Now, I'm not saying you should not create games for VR. For PC, it will take a lot of time to create something decent to publish on Steam. It will take at least a year, even with a team of people. But with mobile games, you can prototype an idea in 2 days, or even in a week, let's say. So I don't want to exaggerate in 2 days, but you can do it in 2 days. You can prototype an idea, and you can have a finished product in a month. So it's really handy that you can do that, especially like mobile games they basically exploded the game dev industry. And everybody nowadays can afford a decent phone. Like just the other day, for testing purposes, I bought an iPhone 6. iPhone 6 is a really good phone, with specifics and characteristics and everything, and it costed like I don't know, $70. So even in countries where the income is not that high, the salary is not that high, people can still afford decent mobile phones to play your games. But when it comes to computers, they need a stronger computer, $1,000 computer, $1,500 computer, $2,000 computer. So yeah, definitely I see more opportunity in the mobile space. Plus you can advertise your mobile games more easily. They're free in majority of cases, and you have in-app purchases and ads that you can structure in a way that you don't annoy your users or your players and still earn a really good amount of money.
Okay, just as a side question, I mean, some people think that mobile games break kind of like this games concept, like putting ads and in-app purchases. I mean, we see this on PC games, of course, coming from mobile, and some companies like EA or Ubisoft like putting loot boxes in, and isn't that like destroying games themselves, like how we think of games? or it's something natural that was bound to happen at some point?
I am like, both cases are strong. It can be looked at that point like it's going a little bit outside of the nature of how games were, but like you cannot compare the time 20 years ago and time now, and especially like it takes time to create any game. Like I just mentioned, it takes 2 months time. It took us 2 months time to create our game, and for during that time we only worked on the game, and you basically think of ads and in-app purchases as a way to reward your favorite developers, because they're also human beings. Like, as I said, we live in a real world. We have bills to pay, you have family to feed, you have, I don't know, mortgages to take care of, other things to pay, and so on and so forth. So, but I still don't agree with a lot of things how people implement in mobile development, especially like the bigger companies. They bomb you with ads. Like every single second there is an ad. That's why in my games, what I do, I have a counter. Like, for example, I count how many times you switch scenes because I use Unity. So when you go, for example, from main menu to a level, I count that as 1. When you go back from that level to main menu, I count that as another 1. So mean now 2. When you repeat that, I have 3, 4, 5. And when you get to the point of 5, or a number that I define, but usually I use 5, then I will show you the ad that will pop up. But what I do, I structure very wisely the rewarded ads. Like when you die, okay, watch an ad, and I will give you like, a life to continue. And that way you sync the ads within the game, so they don't feel that they are not part of the game. So you watch an ad, you don't lose anything except 30 seconds, and you don't pay for anything, and I earn a partial income from that. So it's a win-win situation.
Ah, cool. Very, very interesting take on ads. And I think intrusive ads might be something that deter people from actually playing the game. Okay, and for the last question, and I think you already have a lot of resources, what courses would you suggest people to enhance their game development skills, or if people that want to start with game development, where would you recommend them to check? What resources?
So, like when it comes to courses, and I've been doing game development courses for some time, I'm going to say like right here, like you don't need an online course in order to learn game development. Everything is available online, but, and this is a big but, courses help you get to your goal faster. For example, and I'm a living example for this one. When I started learning game development, there were no courses, there were only books. And who wants to go through a 1,000-page book or a 400, pages book? But still, those books, they don't have practical examples. Mostly they have like theory, some basic examples, and so on and so forth. I was going through books, through videos that I could find online on YouTube and on other websites, and everything was scattered. It was not in a single place. And it took me like 6 months until I started to understand how things work, and it took me almost a year to actually understand game development and start, creating things on my own. So a year is a lot. Whereas now, in comparison to my students who go through my courses, I have people who learned in 2 months' time, in 3 months' time. I had people, they were like in my courses for half a year, and after that they got a junior position, a job in a game development company. That's half a year, and that's twice as less time what it took me to learn. So when it comes to courses, like, I don't want to be biased and say check out Awesome Tuts. So there are good courses online. On Udemy, there are cheaper courses. People go there because they can buy courses for cheaper. But usually I would also look for something that is a little bit more pricier in terms of $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, because the quality you get there is a little bit better. So it is a little bit better in terms of, this is what I plan to do probably in the future. I don't know when, but I plan to have only one course, because now I have a subscription-based service where you have 70 courses, 78, and you can choose what you want to learn and so on and so forth. But I want to have only one course that will teach you all the core concepts, and then you're good to go on your own. Go, and you don't have to buy any more courses and learning. But I definitely recommend courses over boot camps. and over colleges. If you of course go to college, I'm not saying drop out, but like I'm saying don't focus all your time on college. Like it is okay for you to get B's and C's and not only A's, or depending on the country where you are, you can get, you know, 1 or 2 instead of 5, or 5 or 6 instead of 10. So you don't have to have all A's or the best grades, because at the end of the day, in any company that you're going to work or apply for, or even on your own projects, what matters is what you learned, what you know, the practical skills, and if you can apply that or not. It doesn't matter the technical knowledge that you had, all the, you know, definitions, you know, that will not matter at all. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah, I think it's, I'd say an analogy like for people to better understand. For example, why do football teams have coaches, or tennis players have coaches, or other sports people have coaches? Because I mean, they are good on themselves. They're actually probably the best in the world in what they do, but they still need someone to tell them you can do this or you can adjust that. And by having a course, of course, there are a lot of courses, and some are good, some are bad. Might be that some are not for you entirely, but they definitely reduce that time that you need to get better at something.
Definitely.
So that's probably okay. And I think this is it for this episode. Thanks a lot, Fahir, for being on this channel and responding to all of these Q&As.
Thank you for having me.
And I see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye bye.